very excited about putting this tape together and of overcoming objections. This tape right here, we recommend that you listen to it at least 100 times. Just listen to it over and over. The thing about this business is if you can help families overcome the areas of concern that they have, you will go on to wealth in this business. Is that exciting? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have tremendous success in the business. Then this tape is going to be critical to you and your family's success. We put this together with retention and training in mind. What's going to happen on this CD or this tape is that we're going to have the actual objection, and then there's going to be a 40-second break where you'll have the chance while you're driving in your car or whether you're at home or wherever you're practicing and listening to this tape, you will be able to not only hear the objection, but then practice it immediately. So your tape's not broken, your CD's not broken. It's just that there's a 40-second or 30 or 40-second time delay there so that you can really internalize this and really practice this and really get this down. You excited about that? Yeah. So you're going to hear the objection, then there'll be some things. It's okay. Your ability to handle client and recruit concerns will determine your success. So I really want to encourage you to get this stuff down, and we're going to give you the words to say. And I want to encourage you to increase your confidence. The three things that overcome 90% of all objections. How many would like to overcome 90% of all objections?
Yeah. Yes.
Confidence is number one. Actually, they're all equal, probably. Confidence, enthusiasm, and belief. When you have confidence, you get less objections. When you have enthusiasm, you get less objections. When you have belief in what you're doing and what you're offering and what you're saying to them, you get less objections. It's amazing to me. I got all this stuff down, just like you're going to get it down. I got it. I memorized stuff and I practiced and I drilled and spent thousands of hours probably getting this stuff down. And now it's all of a sudden, I hardly get any objections. Don't you want to get to that point? But this tape will give you the confidence so that you can be more enthusiastic and have more belief in what you're going to do. And then the whole goal is to get less and less objections. Isn't that the fun part? But you're going to have to get it down first. You're going to have to get your confidence down. You're going to have to get your skill level up to do that. So let me give you the philosophy first of overcoming the areas of concern before I give you the words, because if you understand how to overcome you can overcome anything that comes up. So let me just start off with this, is the art of leading and controlling with questions. The problem with most people in this business is they try to explain this business. Big mistake. You ought to get in the habit of it asking the right questions. They will make the right decision. Because the problem is when you're talking, you're the only one learning what you already know. So the more you're talking, the less effective it is at overcoming objections. You ever been to a car sale or a house sale or any type of sale where you think that they're a pushy salesman? Why do they come across pushy? Because all they do is talk. Do you want to be a pushy salesman? So get in the habit of asking probing questions. We push with statements, we pull with questions. The reason we ask questions is to learn how to lead instead of being too strong with our own opinions. Don't you want to lead them down something that they want to have, not your opinion? It's kind of like college education. I believe we ought to pay for our kids' college. It didn't teach me a thing not having my parents pay for my college. I didn't even know I had the student loan debt until after I graduated, right? You signed all the papers. So I wouldn't have worked any harder going to school than if it was paid or not paid because I didn't know I even owed it, right? But if someone is very against paying for their kids' college, I don't need to express my view, right? Because same with Social Security. I hear some people say, you're not going to count on that. It'd be crazy, right? Well, what if they are? Let's hear them out first. Then we can find out. And then if you want to move them in the direction you want them to go, that's okay. But be careful to express too much of your own opinions. Does that make sense? Questions allow us to isolate areas of interest. If someone is not asking questions and getting more information, they're not interested. Have you figured that out yet? But if they're asking questions and they tell me a little bit more about that, then you ask more questions, then all of a sudden they're more interested. Questions can be used to stimulate buying emotions. they're also used to isolate an answer and overcome objections. If you don't ask the right questions, you ever had someone just not go ahead and you don't even know why they're not going ahead? You're like, gosh, what's going on? It's because we didn't ask enough probing questions to find out what's the real deal. What's the real reason why they're not wanting to move forward? You must ask questions they can answer, because if I say it, they doubt it. If you say it, they doubt it. But if they say it, it's true. Right? If you say it, they doubt it. You're just some salesman in their house. But if they say it, it's true. Our goal is to get them to say it. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. So here's the flow and some different questions that you can ask. These are the different forms of question that I really want you to get down. Alternative choice is a question with two answers. Either answer is a minor agreement leading toward the major decision. It's best used for appointment setting, location, type of investment. So when you say, I have Wednesday or would Thursday be better, that's an alternative choice. If you just say, gosh, I have nothing going on this week, when can we get together? You don't set the appointment, do you? But if you say, I have Monday or would Tuesday be better, guess what? They pick one of the days. So pick, I have Monday or would Tuesday be better? We could get together early evening or would late be better? Right? So that's alternative choice. Porcupine is answering the question with a question to get them to elaborate or open up or to begin filling out the paperwork. What that means is sometimes you ever get an objection that you don't know the answer to, or you're just kind of a little baffled. Hey, is this a pyramid? Instead of just saying, well, no, I don't think so. Just say, let me just ask you, are you looking for a pyramid opportunity? That's a porcupine where you just take whatever they said and just repeat it to them. Try to get better so it's not an annoying thing. Is this sales? You looking for sales? This pyramid? You looking for a pyramid? Yeah, it doesn't go as smoothly but it just takes practice. It's still better than answering it before you know, right? Because how many times have you had an objection that it really wasn't even an objection, but we thought it was? So we over defend it and get all frustrated and angry and we're trying to and it wasn't even an objection. Now they're frustrated and angry too, right? Involvement question is a question that the client must ask themselves after they get involved. It mentally throws them into the future, assuming ownership. So John and Mary, when we review all your data and come back with great options, if the only thing missing was enough income to achieve your goals, would you be open to looking at something potentially to increase your earnings? So as soon as they say yes to that, that means they're already involved in the business, right? So listening to the answers your questions generate. This is critical. So you're going to get in the habit of asking questions, right? That is the number one reason why people don't overcome objections, because they don't ask questions. They just talk. Whenever you get nervous, what do? Talk. Well, right? You talk fast and you talk too much. So relax. One of the other things that I didn't put in here, but I want it to be known is don't get mad. As soon as you get mad, you lose everything. I used to be very guilty of this. I still, every now and again, get that. But in the early days, I was an aircraft mechanic. I was rough around the edges. I wouldn't take any crap from anybody.
That's right.
Right? So they'd give me an objection, or they'd try to say it, and I would just blast them. I get all mad, and I just hey, that doesn't work too well. Right? So just don't get frustrated and don't get mad. Can we all do that? It's easier said than done. But if I can stay happy, that's one of the reasons you better smile. So practice or smile. You wonder why I smile so much? I have to. If I ain't smiling, those people are frustrating me like I can't even tell you. So I got it. As soon as they say something just crazy or condescending or whatever, I just obviously have a reason for saying that. Would you mind sharing with me? But I got to do something to alleviate my anger. And a smile does that. It's very difficult to be angry at someone when you smile, right? So just practice your smile. It'll help you overcome a lot of objections. But now that you've asked all these questions, listen to the answers. It's interesting that the time spent learning communication versus learning to communicate. We spend 12 years in grammar school and high school learning how to write, yet only 9% of communication is writing. We spend 6 to 8 years learning how to read, yet only 16% of communication is reading. We spend 1 to 2 years learning how to talk, yet 35% of communication is talking. We have less than 1 year of training, if any, learning how to listen. And 40% of communication is listening. Is that powerful? So there's 3 types of listeners that you can be. You're all in one category or the other. This is the average person only retains 25% of what they hear. That means 75% of everything you hear or everything you hear, you don't even remember. Right? That's why when they come to the op meeting, we got to get back together one-on-one with the husband and wife and go over it again. They say, well, why do I got to do I do the 6-page again? Yes. Because they didn't remember 75% of the stuff they saw. Right? So that's because we're just so poorly trained in listening. So here's a poor listener. They don't even hear the words the other person is saying because they're thinking ahead to what they're going to say next. You're in one of these categories. Figure out which category you're in and move to the better category. The average listener, they hear most of the words, but may not pick up on the subtleties or hidden messages behind the words. They're somewhat aware of body language. But the empathetic listener is really where we all need to get to. This is the critical part for your success. You got to become an empathetic listener where they totally focus on the person and their words and the presentation. They're very sensitive to what's being said behind the words or what's not being said. They watch body language and mirror the other person's actions. How many of you would love to be an empathetic listener? But most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, are probably poor or average at best. You have to start moving towards the empathetic listener where you can really care and really listen and really focus on what's important to them. That will help you overcome a lot of objections. That makes sense? And so here's kind of there's actually 6 stages of overcoming an objection. The number 1 stage is hearing them out. We've talked a lot about this, but develop the discipline of waiting until you're sure you're hearing the real area of concern. A lot of you are overcoming objections that weren't even objections. Does that make sense? Really develop the discipline of waiting until you're sure that that's the real area of concern. Don't interrupt them. Is that annoying? You ever have someone interrupt you all the time? Interrupt, cut you off? Is that annoying? Yes. Of course it is. Don't do that to your people. Always try to bypass the concern until the end of your presentation. Remember, if they bring the same concern up twice, it's real and it must be handled. Does that make sense? A lot of times, again, they're not objections. That's why when I'm doing a one-on-one after they come to the op meeting and they say, I have these questions, what I say is great. Let me write that down. Great. Tell me another one. What else? What else? What else? And I'll get a list of all their objections, not to smoke screen and not so that I'm not ever going to cover it, but I want to cover it if it's important. And then I'll cover those as I'm going through the presentation. As I'm going through the 6-page presentation, I'll cover those concerns that they listed. But what happens is most people get interviewed by the person who's thinking about joining the business. They interview you. You don't interview them. They're asking you all these questions. An hour later, you're like, you didn't cover nothing. You didn't cover the 6-page. You didn't cover anything that you needed to cover. They asked you a bunch of questions. That ever happen? So just write them all down and then cover them during the presentation. It'll help you out tremendously. Then feed it back. Restate their concern in the form of a question, thus making the buyer elaborate, explain, defend, and clarify their concern. That's kind of like any objection they have. And you'll see as we start doing the real words, you'll see how I do that. Elaborate on that. Question the importance. Ask the buyer how important that area of concern really is. A powerful phrase is, other than that, is there any other reason you wouldn't go ahead? So they say, well, it just costs too much. There's other ways to do it. But other than that, is there any other reason you wouldn't go ahead? I just don't have the time. Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't go ahead? Because most of the time, the first objection is not the real one. It's the smoke screen to hope that you weren't listening, and you probably weren't, so they got off the hook. Let me just ask you, Jay, other than that, is there any other reason we couldn't move forward here tonight? Or they'll say the other thing, okay? So question the importance, answer the concern. Do you see that's number 4? Most of us, we just answer right away, but there's 3 stages before you answer. You hear them out, you feed it back, you question the importance, then you answer the concern. Now, you must choose from your menu of handling objections, the words that I'm going to give you here in a second. Then confirm the answer by just saying, just make sure it's confirmed. Does that settle that? Does that answer your area of concern? You feel good about that? You comfortable about moving forward now? Just some way to confirm that has been answered and then just change gears. By the way, have you heard of the Rule 72? Or you just move on to the next thing. Is that helpful though? Just going through how it is. And here's some other things that you ought to have down too is turnaround statements before going into any objection. When they give you an objection, the tendency is to just lash out and give them the answer right away. But these are some great turnaround statements where you say, yeah, I can understand how you feel, Jay. However, see that instead of then go into it, hey, I can appreciate your feelings, Mary. Let me ask you this. See how warm that makes it? That certainly makes sense. Although, have you ever considered? Don't ever say but. Do you see but was not in there at all? I can appreciate what we're saying, but listen to my, it's although, it's however, it's other, it's, let me ask you a question. Do you see those things? So is that helpful? Now we're going to get into the actual words and a bunch of objections that you run across each and every day for you and your family. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual words and overcome some objections in the area of life insurance, some different things that come up in each client situation. The first one is,
Gabe, I know we need it, but I already have some stuff to work.
oh, is that right? Well, that's fantastic. Let me ask you this. Do you plan on working there the rest of your life?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. You want to get out there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And when you leave there, do you get to keep that?
I guess so. I'm not quite sure.
Are you not quite sure? Do you know the limitations and restrictions that are involved in that policy? Never really looked at it because most coverage through work, you're not able to take it with you when you leave. So if anything were to happen to you medically and you wouldn't qualify for insurance when you left that employer, now you're stuck with no insurance. So doesn't it make sense to have your own coverage outside of work that you control?
Guess so.
Great.
Dave, I'm just too young. I don't believe in life insurance right now. I don't need it since I'm so young.
You don't believe in life insurance?
Uh,
Oh my goodness. Well, do you believe in taking your kids, care of your family while you're alive?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Well, tell me, Jay, how would that responsibility change upon your death?
Well, I probably would.
It probably would, right? Because if you were able to protect your family for free, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't believe in life insurance, it's the money, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
And Jane, how much could you comfortably invest to take care of your family if you did die prematurely?
I don't know, maybe $50-$60 a month.
50, $60 a month? Well, let's just see how much protection that we can get for $50 a month, okay?
Okay.
It sounds great, Dave. I just want to shop around for some different quotes.
Okay, fantastic. And what exactly are you looking for? When you do your shopping, what do you want to find out while you're doing your shopping?
Price is important.
Price is that the most important thing? Or other than that, is there any other considerations?
I would want to make sure it's the best value.
Want to make sure it's the best value along with the price, right? Because where you live right now, is this the absolute cheapest house you could possibly find in Colorado?
Definitely not.
It definitely is. And how about your car? It's not the cheapest possible car that you could drive, right?
No.
You want the right value, and the price is a part of it, but not the most important part. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So if we could show you our program with all of our features and benefits, and it truly was the most value in the industry, would you feel comfortable with going with us?
Yeah, good.
Great. Well, let me just walk you through the features and benefits of our policy. And then I would just go through that brochure. I would go through the brochure that says we're A++ rated. I would go through that. We're doing a complimentary financial needs analysis. I would just go through that brochure and then just ask, so with all these features and benefits, could you see that there's no other company out there that's going to give you the value that we're going to give you?
Yeah.
Great. So I would encourage you to use that instead of just telling them 4 to 6 weeks and then write up the policy, because then you put yourself in a situation that's not healthy. So do you see how when they ask the question, I ask them, okay, what do you want to shop and find out about? Let's get to the real issue here, because odds are they ain't going to shop about anything. Okay, so.
Dave, I just can't afford it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Things are really tight right now, aren't they?
Yeah, very.
And I could see as we did your financial needs analysis, things are really, really tight. But let me just ask you, how much do you pay for your car insurance?
It's like $200.
It's like $200 a month, right? And what does that really protect? Just a piece of metal in case you hit somebody?
Yeah.
So you can see our insurance is only $86 a month. That's protecting your family. That's protecting the sole source of income coming into your family. Could you see how wouldn't it be worth to spend $86 to protect your income, which is the most important thing, versus a couple $100 for your for your auto insurance?
Well, yeah.
Great. Doesn't that put things in perspective a little bit?
Definitely.
Great. Do you have your driver's license on you? So that's a good way to overcome. I mean, it's ridiculous that they think it's expensive, but it's in comparison to their house insurance, their car insurance, any other insurance they spend. Life insurance is probably less if you do it correctly, if you do term insurance with us.
We already have term insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Why don't you grab your policies? I'll show you something interesting. Great. You don't know where they're at? Where do you figure the most likely place they would be?
Probably with the rest of maybe in the lockbox.
In the lockbox? Why don't you go check there? I'll show you something interesting. Can I give you a glass of water?
Sure.
So when they have term insurance, a lot of new people get thrown off by that. Oh my gosh, they already have term insurance. Does that mean they got the right term insurance? It means they probably got an annual renewable term. They probably got a 10-year term. They probably got a term that they have to requalify medically at the end of the term. Don't get baffled by that. That is great. If they already have term insurance, they can be a tremendous advocate for you and your business and recruit them because they already believe in our concepts. But odds are the term insurance they have, if it's not Primerica term, it's not the right term. If it doesn't say Primerica Life, they ain't got term insurance. They got somebody else's term. And we replace term just as much as whole life.
So Dave, do I get any money back, if I don't die, or
What's that?
on my life insurance, on this program? Do I get any money back if I don't die?
Oh, where did you hear that? Or why did you think you'd get your money back?
They have those programs where if you don't die, you get like your principal back or something like that.
Right. It's kind of like, do you have car insurance?
Yeah.
So if you don't get in an accident in the next 10 years, do you get any money back?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't think so, right? Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lightning strike your house or anything like that, do you get any of your home insurance premiums back?
No.
No. See, what you're talking about is there's certain policies out there that have cash value built up inside of them, and they sell it as you get money back, say 10, 15, 20 years from now. But all it is they would overcharge you for the insurance. Instead of paying $86 like we showed you here, they would charge you $200 a month so that 20 years from now, you could get your money back.
Oh.
But what we recommend, just pay the $86 straight for your insurance, take the other $110 and put that directly into a mutual fund, and you'd have way more money back with doing it that way.
Well,
So the whole goal is to get as much back for you as possible, right?
definitely.
Great. Well, that's how our programs work.
Dave, it sounds great, but I want to talk to my agent first.
Yeah? Oh, good. Is he a good friend, or do you know him much?
Every once in a while, I see him around town.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Kim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Your agent always has your best interest at heart, doesn't he?
Assume so.
You'd hope so. Anyways, otherwise you definitely wouldn't want that. But you've seen our new proposal compared to your plan, and you agreed it's substantially better, didn't you?
Yeah.
And so your agent would have had your best interest at heart, and he would have proposed our concept if he truly had your best interest at heart, isn't it? See, buy term and invest the difference has been around for over 60 years. And so now if you talk to your agent, he will tell you that he can do what we do. Isn't that funny? What would you even think of that? If he came back and said, oh, you want a term? What would you think about that person?
Why didn't he do it in the first place?
Why didn't he do it in the first place? So he had the opportunity to offer you what was right for you and your family once and chose not to. Isn't it time to do what's right for you and your family now? Great. Okay, so that's basically all the life insurance objections. Can you guys think of any other life insurance objections that you get?
So, Dave, I don't believe in term insurance.
Really? You don't believe in term insurance?
Nope.
Any reason why? Do you mind if I ask why you say that?
Yeah, I mean, once the term is done, it's going to cost me a lot more money. I'm not being able to save any money for it.
Oh, I see. Because why did you buy these policies in the first place? Was it for the savings portion of it?
Yeah, pretty much.
It
I
was
want
for-
to make sure I had something for the future.
Okay. And let me just show you this. I would just explain the theory of decreasing responsibility. If I haven't got to that point in the presentation, let me just ask you right now, when you have young kids, all that, you need the coverage, right? But in the later years, let's just say you had, how much coverage do you have right now? 250,000. Let me just ask you, if you had 250,000 cash, would you need 250,000 life insurance?
No, I guess
You really wouldn't. So you could cancel the policy, and then how much would your premiums be then?
0.
Zero. And put even more into savings. Wouldn't that be a better alternative than paying premiums your whole life just to get a little bit of cash back,
But
which is usually never more than what you put in?
But I've already put so much money into my policy.
That is a good point. And that's one of the hardest things. You know, when I had my policy, I had given them over $1,800. I was a 21-year-old kid, put in all that money. I said, man, where's that $1,800 go? And guess what? I lost it all. But you know what? It's kind of like if you had a bucket that had a big old hole in it and you were trying to fill it with water. Would you try to keep filling that bucket with water, or would you just get a new bucket?
Bucket.
A new bucket, right? So if we could put together a game plan where your return was far better than what it is if you keep it in the policy, and actually if you keep it in the policy, you're going to lose more money keeping it there than moving it. Would you feel more comfortable with that? Great. We'll show you the numbers and we'll run the numbers. I don't know. We got to look at things and we'll run all the numbers. And if it makes better sense for you and your family, you go ahead and do that, wouldn't you? Great. Well, I look forward to putting that together for you. Okay. Good. Now for some recruiting objections.
Dave, I just don't have a 199.
Really? You don't have $199? Do you have a credit card that we could just put that on? Or could we post date a check for a week or two? When would you have it?
Well, I get paid in 2 weeks.
Oh, you paid in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But are you serious about getting started? It's not just, you're not just blowing me off or anything. You're serious about getting started? So that gives us 2 weeks, Jay, where if you're serious, let's go out there and see 6 families and you'll make more than your $200. But let's put that on the credit card now. Then in 2 weeks, when you get paid, then you just go ahead and pay off that credit card. But if you get us in front of 6 qualified appointments, if they're married, they're homeowner, their children, you'll have that back. So ideally, I would rather, let's have them put it on a credit card, not post-dated check. So if they want to post-date the check, let's put it on the credit card right now. And then when they're ready to post-date their check, they can pay off their credit card, not the other way around. But if they just they're totally maxed out, they have no money, and a post-dated check is the last possible strategy, then maybe consider that. But then you got to consider who you're recruiting. Get in the right market. We wrote $800 worth of checks to get started in this thing, right? People have money if they see value, right? But then another good question is, also, doesn't it seem strange, Jay, that you've been working for the past 15, 20 years and you don't have $200? That's why you really need to do the business, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
See, that's a good thing too. Did you hear the empathy in my voice? It wasn't, you've been working for 15, 20 years, ain't got the money, even you need to do this, jerk. Be empathetic, be caring. Did you see my smile? Did you hear my smile actually over the tape? You heard a warm, friendly smile right on the tape. Make sure that's coming across when you're doing that too. The last strategy for I don't have 199 is, let me just ask you, Jay, what's your dream car? I mean, your absolute dream car.
Ferrari.
Your Ferrari, you'd always kind of wanted a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Man, you'd look good in a Ferrari. That'd be fun to drive. What color would you get?
Bright red.
A bright red Ferrari. Let me just ask you, if we had a bright red Ferrari sitting in the parking lot, right? As soon as we walk out this door, it's down there waiting for you, but it costs $199. How would you get the money?
Oh, money.
You borrow money from everybody you could. So let's do that, because I can guarantee you this is way more important than some car. And you'll be able to buy any car you want 5, 10 years from now. Great, let's get started. So something like that.
This is one of those triangle pyramid things.
What do you mean by that?
Where you kind of have to recruit, and this one makes money off of that money, and the guy at the bottom doesn't make anything. The guy at the top gets all the money.
Right. And I'm curious, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Not if you're on the bottom.
Not if you're on the bottom, okay. But if you could be the guy who's making all the money, would that be a bad thing?
I guess not.
Because obviously pyramids are illegal. And you're not insinuating that Citigroup is part of an illegal pyramid or triangle scheme, are you?
No.
course not. We're legitimate, the number one financial services company in the world. So we wouldn't put our credibility and our reputation on the line for something illegal, pyramid triangle thing. But let me ask you this, where you work right now, do you have a boss? And does he have a boss?
No.
No, he's the only guy, right? So is he like a business owner or something?
Yeah.
Okay, and you work for him. How many people does he have working for him?
Just myself and another.
So 2 other people. So does he keep all the money and pays you $10 an hour, $15 an hour?
Yeah.
It kind of does, doesn't it? So if you're going to work in that situation anyways, wouldn't it make sense to work in a situation where you could get to the top and you could be the business owner? Great.
Dave, I'm just not into the sales.
Really? Have you elaborate on that? Have you tried sales before?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. What happened?
I failed miserably.
Did you really? What were you selling?
Like vacuums or something.
Oh, vacuums. That would be a tough sale because those things are expensive, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you go in there and, they're just coming over for the free steak knives anyways. They don't really want to listen to your presentation, right? So could you see how different this is than vacuums?
Yeah, definitely.
And let me ask you a question though. Did you know everything? You're a truck driver now, right?
Yeah.
Did you know everything about your current job before you started?
No.
You did, right? But how'd you learn?
Just
Went to
had
school
somebody
for
teaching
it,
me
somebody
and-
trained
yeah.
you, somebody coached you on it, right? And now you're a great truck driver. You know what you're doing, right?
Right.
Well, we would teach you everything you need to know and help you all along the way. So if you really wanted to have that bright red Ferrari, we'll teach you and train you and coach you. And it's not like traditional pushy sales. We just give people options to reach their goals and dreams. And you could do that with a little practice, couldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Great. Well, let's get started.
Babe, I don't want to have to pressure my friends and family and try to sell them something.
Is that what you thought this was going to be?
Well, isn't there how I would have to get started?
Well, let me just ask you, have you ever gone to a great restaurant
Yeah, just
and did you tell anybody about it?
everyone.
And did you feel like you were pressuring them to say, oh, you got to eat at this restaurant?
No.
No, you're just kind of helping them out and said, man, this is a great restaurant. You ought to check it out. Right? You ever go to a good movie? Did you tell anybody about it? Did you feel like you were pressuring them in that situation? See, all we're going to do, if we went over and hard pressured your friends and family, would you want us to go see anyone else? Would you take us to go see anyone else?
Definitely.
We'd stop the process right then and there. I'm not doing this anymore. So our goal is just go tell them about a great movie, a great restaurant, give them professional, courteous service, and they're going to feel great about it and want to refer us to others. I guess that's another question. If we went over and did pressure them, would they refer us to others?
No.
No. So we got to do what's right by them, take good care of them, not pressure them into anything. They can make their own decision. And then if we can help them, we'll get more referrals. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
Dave, I'm just too busy, man. I work like 18 hours a day and I'm always working. So
He'll take her. Is that, do you like doing that?
no.
I mean, what's your out strategy? I mean, how long can you continue working 18 hours a day?
Until I get a couple more trucks where I can have a lift record.
Okay, but it's going to be a long strategy. And most
Yeah.
people, would you agree, don't really have an out strategy?
No.
So sometimes when people say that they're really busy, though, what they think is it's not going to be worthwhile or sure not going to be beneficial to them and their families. Is that kind of how you're feeling?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But if you realize that it was tremendously valuable, it'd be like if you hit the lottery and you won the lottery, $1 million come into your house. But you know what? It requires 8 to 10 hours of community service. Would you be willing to invest the 8 or 10 hours?
Yeah.
Why?
So I can get the luck.
Because the money would be so much more valuable. I would be willing to do it.
That's right.
Right? Well, that's what ours is. It's like hitting the lottery. We're going to train you. We're going to coach you, teach you how to make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month part-time, turn it into a career change like we had talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be worth it, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Great.
I don't know anything about sales or finance or anything.
Kim, that is the advantage that you have. See, we're really in a business of educating people how to get more value for the money they're already spending. And you could do that with a little bit of practice, couldn't you?
Guess so.
And that's perfect.
So Dave, if this is so good, why isn't everybody doing it?
That is a great question, Jay. I'm kind of curious of that myself.
Yeah.
But let me just ask you this. There's a lot of things in life that are good for us that we don't do. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah.
Like exercise, eating right, all those things. What they require discipline to succeed, don't they?
Yeah.
And most people, would you agree, don't have the discipline?
No.
So if you did have the discipline, you could succeed tremendously in this business. Could you see that?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't want to work just on commission.
Really? Have you worked on commission before?
No, I like having a steady paycheck.
Oh, yeah? Hey, but you've never tried commission?
No.
Okay. Well, you'll really enjoy the 4 ways that we get paid. We get paid fee for service, overrides, residual income, and bonuses. And let me just ask you, you would agree getting paid 4 ways is better than limiting yourself just to an hourly wage or a salary, wouldn't you? Because the truth is, if people actually experience commission and they had an unlimited chance to make money, why would anyone want a salary? The only reason is they don't believe that they could make an unlimited income or a secure income. So by explaining the 4 different ways that we make money is a powerful way to explain that.
So Dave, do we get benefits? I mean, do you have like the health insurance and all of that stuff?
Absolutely. What kind of benefits were you looking for? Health insurance? What else?
Yeah, and like dental
Dental
all of that.
insurance? Okay, what else? Anything else?
Maybe life insurance.
Maybe some life insurance?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. We have an incredible benefits associated. The major benefit that you have is you are now self-employed and you get the option to choose whatever benefits you want for you and your family. Because what's interesting, at your work right now, are there some things about the health program that, you kind of wish were different? Maybe you got this benefit or this benefit, a little bit different than what you have, but you really don't have any control of that, do you? No, they pick and choose what program is best for you and your family.
Right.
When you get self-employed, you get to buy your own health insurance and pick and choose exactly how you want that health insurance tailored for you and your family.
Wow.
And what's interesting to me is we pay less now than we did when we had jobs.
Really?
And we have 2 kids now. And that's a true statement. We have 2 kids. We're married. We're paying less now than we did when we had jobs.
Wow.
Benefits are a total farce. They cut them out at any given moment. That's the number one thing people are doing right now is they're cutting benefits, right? But the other benefit is you get to call your own shot, set your own schedule, and pick and choose your benefits. So, do you feel more comfortable with that?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, do you guys like help out with the paying on that or
What's that?
anything,
Well,
or-
don't you pay for your health insurance right now? Yeah, a
Well,
little
the
bit, right?
company pays part of it.
Well, you pay $150, $200 a month right now, right?
Yeah.
So if you could pay the same $150, $200, but it was on your own that you picked, do you have any problem with that?
No, that'd be great.
See, people think health insurance is so expensive. It really isn't. Unless you have like major problems, right? But I don't go to the doctor hardly ever, right? So you can get a major medical policy that maybe doesn't have all the copays and all the other crap that they sucker you in with. What ours is we have a $2,000 cap. So we can spend up to $2,000 for the year. And then after that, they cover 100%.
Wow.
And it's like $300 a month for all of us, Zach, McKinsey, Kelly, and myself, for like $300 a month. It's awesome. Now, obviously, if you have major health problems and issues, maybe that's a consideration. But let's just crank up your income. Let me just ask you, you made $100,000 a year. Would you mind paying for your own benefits?
No, that'd be all right.
You really would, right? So instead of making $50,000, even if, you know what, your benefits, self-employed, be $4,000 a month. But we're going to increase your income by more than $4,000, so it wouldn't be an issue with it.
That'd be all right.
Right? So it's not like our benefits. So good.
Sounds great, but I definitely need to talk to my husband.
Fantastic. We really encourage that because definitely 2 heads are better than 1. And how do you think they would react to this?
I'm not sure. He's more of the skeptical kind of
Is he
person.
really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been involved in a business like this or anything like this?
We've tried things in the
Have
past.
you? Oh, so she's probably not going to be that excited about it, is she?
Well,
Or he wants. He won't be very excited about it then, will he?
probably not.
But are you excited about it right now?
Yeah.
You feel really good. What happens? This is after the op meeting. This happens pretty darn often. And I think it's critical that you have this conversation with the husband or the wife after the op meeting to make sure that doesn't come up. You ever wonder why people don't come back? Because they talked to their husband or their wife and they blew them out. So I think we ought to have this conversation. If they don't even bring it up after the op meeting, you ought to ask them. Let me just ask you, how'd your husband feel about this? Might as well bring it up because it's going to come up. So great. Then we need to do this, Kim, if you try to explain this, it's probably not going to go over that well, is it? He's going to think it's another one that you tried this before. You told me all these things before, honey. Right? But if I went over there and explained it as we did here tonight, you think our chances would be better for them to be excited about it as you are?
Probably.
Great. So we got to get together with you and him. Let me present it professionally. and then we'll have better chances, okay? And if he's still not comfortable, well, then no sense going ahead.
David, after the meeting the other night, I went home and I was looking on the computer and I did a whole bunch of research on the internet. And I got like 20 pages of bad stuff about the company.
What kind of bad stuff?
It was just talking about like the regional vice presidents only make like a certain amount of money and nobody else makes anything else.
Really?
And it takes like 20 years to get to regional vice president. All
Wow.
that stuff.
That's incredible.
It's,
That's some interesting information. I had not heard that.
what's up with that?
Well, what websites were you going on?
Well, it was like insurancesomething.com.
Insurancescams.com?
Yeah,
Is that,
that one.
Yeah, right. So was it an official, like compliant approved website, or was just some joker who probably was an insurance agent or a dropout of Primerica who put the website up? Do you realize? It
Didn't say who did.
didn't say who did it,
Yeah.
but from the tone of it, you know what? What y'all do, print all that out,
Okay.
and then we'll get together with you and your wife and go through it step by step. Okay? Because the truth is, we're part of Citigroup, right?
Right.
The number one financial services company in the world.
Hmm.
Did they say that on the website?
No.
The truth is, my second year in the business made $80,000, became a regional vice president. My third year made $140,000. Is that 20 years?
No, it's not.
So you're going to have a choice to who you're going to listen to. It'd be like if you're going to go to college and somebody who dropped out of college, took a couple classes, said, it ain't worth it. Would you go ask their opinion of what they think about college?
No.
You wouldn't, right? You'd say, he's a college dropout. I ain't going to listen to that.
Right.
Well, there's some people who drop out of Primerica also, lack of discipline for whatever reason.
Okay.
But I just want to encourage you to get the information from the correct source, not do you realize anyone can put anything on the internet?
Yeah.
The good thing about the internet is you can get anything you want. The bad thing about the internet is you can put anything you want on the internet. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. They can just put it on there.
Okay.
But if we can show you that it is legitimate, it is true, everything we said in our presentation is actual fact, and that could happen for you and your family, would you care what the internet said?
No. And actually, I wanted to talk about that in my thing.
Great. Well, let's get together. We'll print all that stuff out. We'll go through it and make you feel comfortable with it. Okay? Great.
Dave, it sounds good, but I already looked at another network marketing company, and I might be going with them. I'm not quite
Really?
sure.
What kind of network marketing company was it?
Vitamins. And
Was it vitamins?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What'd you get excited about? What kind of turned you on about that?
Just being health conscious, and
Right.
what I know a lot of sick people, so being able to
Right.
help them.
There's certainly not a lot of need for that,
Yeah.
not there? And let me just ask you this. There's really 3 things that you need to consider when you're considering any opportunity out there. The number one thing to consider is the company credible? You know that we're part of Citigroup, the number one financial services company in the world. Is that company that you're part of, have they been around for a while? Is it been?
It's been around a while.
Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The second thing you need to consider is what they do, is what they offer something I believe in and feel good about offering? If you're just trying to make a little bit of money, from my experience, it doesn't work in anything that you choose to do. And the last thing is, how does the marketing plan compare? So I think the first 2 questions, you do feel good about the company. The company is credible. But the marketing plan, I shouldn't never say but. However, the marketing plan, how many people do you need to make? What's your goal? Is it how much do you want to make there?
50,000.
50,000 a year is your goal. And how many people does it take in that company to make 50,000 a year?
I don't know of a lot of people that are making.
Hardly any of them in there, isn't it? Because if you got their marketing plan, they got a copy of it, don't they? Just print that out or bring it in with me, and I'll show you how many people you'll need to have to make it. And from my experience, it's anywhere from 200 to 400 people in your business to make $50,000 a year. With our business, it's a tenth of that. I made $100,000 with 10 people. So if we could put together a marketing plan where you could still educate people on nutrition on the side, but actually do this as your primary business, would you go with us instead? Great. What was the other one?
I tried something like that before, one of those network marketing things. Just really didn't work out for me.
Okay. I guess that's very similar to the sales objection we just overcame. Like, I've tried sales before. Same thing. I've tried sales. I've tried network marketing. But let me just ask you, why do you think it didn't work?
I just found it hard to sell people plain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what were you selling again?
Vitamin.
It was vitamins.
stuff.
So Most of the people that you went over to their house, were they already spending $100, $200 a month for vitamins before you came over?
No.
They weren't, right? So you're trying to teach them how to spend more money. So you really were, in fact, teaching them to spend more. And most people, are tight for money right now. Things are just really tight. So in our business, did you see how in the presentation, we're teaching them how to spend less on stuff that they already have? Like most times they already are paying life insurance. We cut their cost. They already have debt. We cut their cost, freeing them up money to invest and do other things. So it's not selling something on top of what they're already doing. You feel a little bit better about that? Great.
So Dave, the company looks good, but how are you doing at it?
Unbelievable, Jay. I have changed my income potential forever. But the more important thing is how well you're going to do at it. And based on your people skills with your work ethic, you could be as successful as you want to be if you choose to be. So the real question is, do you choose to be successful with us? Right. The other thing is you could say, unbelievable. I am on pace to leave my job in 6 to 12 months.
Really?
I am on pace to make $50,000. I'm on pace to make $100,000 a year. Is that true? Is that misleading? Absolutely not. If you're working, that's not a true. I started telling all the people at UPS, I'm leaving here in 3 months, man. I'm out of here. I am leaving this job. And guess what? It was true because I worked. I ain't never going to tell anyone anything and then not put the work ethic behind it. I put the work behind it to make sure that came true because I told too many people that could you ever go to your friends or family and tell them I quit? See, if you could, you will. I could never do that. I was like, I have told too many people I'm going to win here. I ain't going to get what I couldn't go back. Hey, mom, dad, it just didn't work out for me. What do you do? How do you justify that? How do you justify telling everyone how great this is and then not follow through on it? I could never justify it. I could never justify it.
Wait, but the holidays coming up, I'm just too busy. I don't know if I'm going to be able.
I mean, things are really tight, right? Because you have a couple of kids, right? And it's busy during the holidays, definitely. Well, why don't I do this? I'll just give you the preliminary information. Takes about 15 or 20 minutes. Then we can go into full detail after the holidays. So would Monday or Tuesday be better?
I guess Monday.
Okay, great.
So on this part, I have to come down to the office for the meeting thing?
Well, let me ask you this. And the whole thing, you got to sell it up front. Like you ought to tell them on the reasons why we're here, that we have a presentation. You're going to love it. All of our clients come down. Then you cover it on the F&A input sheet right there. It tells the meeting right there. I'm going to role play that, and then I'm going to overcome that. But then we'll have you come to that special presentation we've been referring to. You're going to love it. All of our clients come down to that. Get to meet some other people who are making the same decisions you are. It's going to be wonderful. You're really going to enjoy that. So do you sell it that way?
Yes.
No, you say you come to a meeting. Right? Sell it. So you're going to love it. All of our clients come down to that, give you some more information. It'll be fun. Sell it as a fun event, not you got to come to a meeting. People go to too many meetings, right? But then if they really are bought, well, let me just ask you, Jay, what we found is that if someone doesn't have the discipline to invest 1 hour of their life to learn more about the company and the concepts that they're betting their entire financial future on, they probably don't have enough discipline to follow through the plan. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So you got to come. You'll love it. It's going to be worth it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, great. So now we're moving on. You all excited? So good information. Wonderful. Very proud of you. And we're going to get a lot out of this tape. Very excited about it. We're going to move on to the mortgage part of the business because that is a critical thing. We can help families tremendously in that area. And there are a few areas of concern that clients have with their mortgages.
Dave, we just refinanced about 2 months ago.
Oh, that is fantastic. What all to do for you?
They lowered our interest rate.
Yeah?
And freed up a couple dollars during the
How much? $50, $100?
about 100.
Okay. And did they show you what to do with that $100 or anything?
No.
No? Are you getting out of debt any sooner than, is it 30 years?
We actually got another 30 years.
You got another 30 years? Oh my gosh, we got to get together because if we could cut that cost, save you some money in interest, you want to take a look at it, wouldn't it?
But all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely appreciate what you're saying there. You wouldn't want to pay all those fees again,
Right.
especially if there's no value, right? But if we could get you out of debt, let's say in 10 years, 12 years, would it be worth a little bit of fees?
Yeah, I guess so.
How much do you think that would save you over the next 30?
Well,
So let's just run the numbers. I don't know if it's going to make sense or not to do it, but if it does make sense and we can get you out of debt sooner than your current game plan, we'll take a look at it. But I can assure you, Kim, If it doesn't make sense, I'm not even going to propose it when we get back together. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So, Dave, the plan looks good, but what's the interest rate going to be?
Well, it's all going to depend on what you qualify for. And we're just going to run the numbers. This just allows us to pull your numbers and see what you qualify for.
Okay, but you're going to pull my credit report. You can't tell me what the interest rate is going to be for that, or
Or I'll tell you what the interest rate is once we pull that credit report. It's tough to say what it is now, but let me just ask you this. If we get you out of debt in half the time, save you money and interest, would you care what the interest rate is? You know what the real answer in this is, though, is covering the debt brochure the first night. You got to cover all this stuff on the first night, not on the back end. So that debt brochure is critical. Listen to your first time appointment tape of how to cover that. And most of this does come off, but because you really have to understand that rate equals risk. The higher the loan to value, the bigger the risk is. Because do you know anyone who's foreclosed before? Foreclosures are at an all-time high right now. You may not know anyone personally, but they're at an all-time high. So anytime you go over 80% of the value of your house, the risk for the lender is much higher. Because if they foreclose, they got to get a realtor to come in there. They got to get someone to clean up the house, all that stuff. So the 5 ways that people use to alleviate risk, and I would draw all of this out. You got to draw it out on a piece of paper, or you have your little insert that you can just show them. Is they use private mortgage insurance or MIP. They use adjustable rates. They use balloon payments. They earn escrow. They earn interest on your own escrow, or they use higher rates. So we don't have any of the first 4. We just use a slightly higher rate because we know we're going to get you out of debt in 10 or 15 years. So would you care what the interest rate is?
No.
You could draw it out also as draw 30 years and draw 5% all down the line, 5% for 30 years, and then draw 7% for 10 years. What's your interest rate in the 11th year? 5%. What's your interest rate in the 15th year? 5%. What's your interest rate in the 30th year? 5%. What's our interest rate in the 11th year? 0. So would you rather have a 5% for 30 years or a 7% for 10?
7%.
So that's another strategy that you can use.
Does your mortgages have any points?
One of the things you're going to like most is we don't have any origination fees. An origination fee is just a fee charged to close the loan. It's pure profit to the lender. It's not tax deductible, and it ends up being amortized over the life of the loan. What we choose to use is a discount fee. It's interest paid in advance, so it is tax deductible because all mortgage interest is tax deductible, and it isn't amortized over the life of the loan. So what we do is we take 1.5% of the value of the mortgage that we're doing, pull that up front in the form of a discount fee. The benefit to you is it's tax deductible. The benefit to us is we know we're going to make X in profit, so they can pay who they need to pay, and then you're going to pay it off in 10 or 15 years. So the bottom line, most companies, they charge 1% to 2% origination. That's on top of all the interest that you would pay. That 1.5% that we charge is interest that you would have paid if you kept it for 30 years anyways. But the bottom line, if you're going to pay $200,000 on your current plan or $100,000 with us, including all the fees, would you care? So all that is on that little sheet too. It's on that little insert that we have.
Dave, we're just going to be moving soon. I don't want to refinance right now. Pay for all of it.
Oh, definitely. When you thinking I'm moving?
Oh, probably
About 2 years.
Year.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you this: if we could build up more equity, so that when you sell your home, you have more equity in your house 2 years from now, would you be open to taking a look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we can. We're just going to fill out an application here and see what we can do.
Okay.
So the whole goal, I hope you understand, is to fill out the application. Let's see. If it's not right for them, we're not going to do it, right? None of you would trick anyone into doing anything, right? If it's not good for them, we're not going to do it. But so many of you get thrown off by these things and don't even fill out the app. Who knows? If they're going to move in 2 years, we can't decrease it, make it worth it, well, then don't do it. But if we can, and most of the times we can, another part of that is, let me just ask you, do you want to be in the best possible financial situation when you move 2 years from now?
That'd be nice.
See, right now, you have some cars and some credit cards, some different things. If we consolidate all of that and start making your payments, that's the only debt you have is your house. How's your credit score? It increases, it gets better because you don't have all these debts,
Right.
right? So we're going to improve your credit score, save you some money, and get you in a better situation for when you move 2 years from now. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
Great.
I have a friend that's a mortgage broker. Could just invest through that.
You definitely could. And how long has he been in the industry?
Couple years.
A couple of years. Fantastic. Has he done any mortgages for you already? Or isn't he the one who did this one?
Yeah, that's right. He did.
He did. He just did yours, right? And if you're are you in any better situation necessarily?
Still around for a year.
Right. So if we could put together a better program, he's already given you his bets. If we could put together a better program, would you have any problem going with us? Okay. Because he's already given you your program. So you've given him your business. So he's a good friend of yours. You've already helped him out. Now it's time to do what's right for you and your family. Okay.
Dave, this just sounds, the whole loan sounds too good to be true. Why are you trying to get me out of that sooner?
It really is amazing. And that happens often. We hear that a lot from people but right now in your current situation, you're not really happy with it, right? You know, you got to get out of it. You got to pay off the debt, but there's no real way to do it. You've never really been shown a detailed strategy of how to do it, right?
Right.
So now can you see it's in writing? If we do this, this, and this, you will become debt-free in 12 years and save $100,000 in interest.
Well, I like that.
It is
actually
good.
Works.
It is good. Why wouldn't it work? What part of these numbers do you not feel comfortable with? Or maybe I didn't explain it as effectively as I could, that you would think that it wouldn't work this way.
I don't know. It sounds really good. So,
Well, you know what the other reason too is, who do we own? We own a mortgage company and an investment company. That's really the uniqueness that we have, is most mortgage companies are just a mortgage company. So if you get out of debt, do they make any more money?
No.
No, they only make money you being in debt. We make money when you get out of debt, when you're in debt, when you, at any point in your financial life, we make money because we own Citigroup. We own investments, insurance, and mortgages.
Okay.
So that's the uniqueness. That's why it may appear it's too good to be true, but that's why it is, because no other company is set up the way Citigroup is. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Right. You feel better about that?
Definitely.
Great. By the way, when would you like to set the appraisal?
It sounds great, and I understand about your points and all that, but I can call up Ditech, and they have those no cost refinance things.
Right. Do you really believe that?
I would hope so.
They're going to make money somewhere, are they not? Ditech, I'm almost for certain, has to advertise. How'd you hear about Ditech?
TV.
TV. Do you think they call up the TV and say, you know what? We are Ditech Loans. I want to advertise for free.
I doubt it.
They say, no, I don't care who you are. Pay your advertising. And is advertising on TV pretty darn expensive? Is it more than the $3.95 only closing fees?
Yeah.
Really, it is, right? So they're going to make their fees in there somewhere. They're either going to increase the rate or do something. But the bottom line is, are they going to give you a detailed step-by-step game plan to become debt-free and provide a coach to make sure that you follow through on it?
I called it.
And you just call it the same 800 number. Is it going to be the same person anytime you call?
Yeah.
It'll be a different person every single time. So there's no coaching, there's no benefit. So wouldn't you rather have a personal coach to make sure that you get debt free? Great. So cost is not the only consideration, is it? Great.
Dave, why would I want to include my car and my credit cards in on the debt? I'm getting a tax return, so I'm just going to pay that off.
Right. And you got 0% on your credit card. Why would you want to include that in a loan that you pay interest on? That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the reason is what is your game plan to become totally debt free?
My tax return.
And you've been doing that for like the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Every time that tax return comes in, you pay off the debt and then you build up some more and pay it off, build it, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it make sense that we got to break that cycle?
Yeah.
And what if that tax return could go into a savings program that you could withdraw from throughout the year to pay those extra bills? And then the next year, when you don't have any bills because you've used that savings up, you'd had $2,000, $3,000. Yeah. Start investing that. Wouldn't that be a better strategy than just, kind of revolving around each and every year?
Yeah. We were talking about saving that. Wish we could.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. Well, again, if it makes sense to include the debt, we'll include it. If it doesn't make sense, we're not going to include it.
Okay.
I'll show you both ways and see what makes the most sense for you and your family. Okay?
Okay.
Feel better about that?
Yeah.
Great.
Dave, it sounds great, but we actually have a prepayment penalty on our existing mortgage.
Oh, you do? When does it expire? When's it?
We just refinanced a year ago. I think it was 3 years, so 2 more years.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's just take a look at it. What if we could save you more than the prepayment penalty? Would you want to at least take a look at it? If we could get you out of that in 5 or 10 years, and even if you had to pay a $2,000 or $3,000 prepayment penalty, would you be open to that? I don't know. Well, let's just submit the application and see. The other part of prepayment penalty is we have a prepayment penalty, and that sometimes that's a deterrent. I would explain it as if why would I want to pay a prepayment? Well, the reason is we want to make this the last loan that you'll ever need. We don't want you refinancing every 2-3 years, just doing what every other mortgage company does. We want to make this the last loan you ever need. Does that make you feel a little bit better? And if you do need to refinance, we can refinance it with our company, and we don't charge any of that fee. Just if you were to go to another lender or sell your home or do something to get you back in debt again, we want to have you at least have to make a phone call to us and see if there's a better strategy than just going back in debt again. Okay? Great. You feel better about that? Awesome.
Dave, I heard that, the debt consolidation is when you put all that stuff in your loan is bad because you use up all your equity on your house, right?
Well, that's true. You hear that all the time because in most situations, you probably know a bunch of people that have refinanced, right? And they're in worse shape.
Yeah.
Because there was no plan, was there?
No,
There was no strategy like we showed you. There was no acceleration of the principal. There was no savings on the other side. If you don't do these two things, then you ought not to refinance with us either.
Okay.
But if you want to get a game plan, how could that be bad? You getting debt free in 10 years.
Good.
It would be bad if you were with another lending company that just kept refinancing for the eternal low rate.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're moving on to securities. This is going to be an awesome CD. I am really excited about that. You can just play it over and over and over and get it down and get the tonality and get the questions asked. And let me just say this too, and I want this to be on the tape is, do you realize I'm pretty good? All right. I don't want to be cocky. I'm pretty darn good. You want to be pretty darn good 7 years from now too. Right? But you know what's interesting to me? Still, even this week, as good as I am, someone said no. I said all the right things. I had all the right tonality. I had the greatest smile you ever see. And they still said no to me. Can you imagine that?
No.
How devastating is that? So I just want to encourage you. There's never gonna be 100% close rate, right? Some people are just too skeptical for their own good. There's something happens, whatever, but you got to just be confident, get good. That's not an excuse not to get good, by the way. You better get good at your craft, but then understand when somebody says no, how do you react? Do you say, oh man, it's me. I'm a loser. I can never do this business. Everybody says no to me. Or you say, nobody says no to me. I have trained myself that nobody says no to me. Is that true? It is in my mind. A lot of people say no to me, but it is true in my mind that I just have trained myself. When someone says no to me, I'd say, wow, that's not right. Nobody says no to me. I gotta make some more calls. I gotta go on some more appointments. I gotta do more because nobody says no to me. Even though they do. More people have said no to me in the last 7 years than virtually most people in Primerica. But they still pay us a lot of money. Right? Because we've gotten great at our craft, but realize that I can just go see someone else, right? And just go through the numbers. So let's just wrap up with securities and then just really take this to heart. Is securities.
If I already have my investments elsewhere, why should I move them over to Smith Barney?
Well, we'll take a look at it. If it makes sense to move it, we'll move it. But if it doesn't, we won't. Who do you have them with right now?
I think it's Fidelity.
Fidelity. And are you totally satisfied?
I really don't keep them around.
You don't really keep an eye. And how'd you get it set up? Was there any personal coach or you just kind of?
I went online and then made a couple calls.
So when the market goes down and it went down the last 3 years and it had been a little concerning, right? Who'd you call? Just called the 800 number and, there's no one really to call. So having a personal consultant that would be there for you in the good and the bad times, that'd be worth something, wouldn't it? And how did you go about deciding your asset allocation?
took some quiz, but honestly, I didn't understand.
Didn't really understand. Like most people with their 401ks, they just put them to, they have no idea how they're put. So if we put together an asset allocation and show you exactly why we're choosing the funds that we're choosing, would you feel more comfortable with that? And then how's the performance been?
Not really the best.
Not really the best. So if our performance was better, we set up an asset allocation strategy that was right for you and your family, and you had a personal coach to ensure and answer any questions throughout the rest of your entire investing future, could you see why you'd want to go with us? Great.
So Dave, is that 12% guarantee? Can you really get that?
Well, let me just ask you this. It is not guaranteed, but if you keep the money at 3 or 6%, is it a pretty much guarantee you're not going to make it in retirement?
Yeah.
It's pretty much guaranteed, isn't it? And you you live in a house, right?
Right.
10 years ago, what was the house worth?
Not as much as
Not as much as it was. Why'd you buy the house? For a roof over your head, but you wanted it to appreciate a little bit too, right?
Well, yeah.
Was it a guarantee that it was going to appreciate?
No.
No. Nothing in your investing future is guaranteed. But the bottom line is if you keep it where it's at, I guarantee you, you ain't going to make it.
But you can actually get the 12%?
Well, let me just show you our track records. If we had long-term track records of 30 and 40 and actually 70 years of 12% returns, would that give you a little more confidence?
Yeah.
Even through the good times, the bad times, all of that? Great. Well, let me show you how our funds have returned over the last 20, 30 years. Okay.
Dave, I can go online and get those no-load funds. Why would I want to pay a fee or anything?
That is a great question. Why would you want to pay a fee? If it's no load, who are you thinking on going through? Janice or?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, I would use the same thing. If Janice does Janice advertise? Okay. So when they call up the TV station and they say, I am Janice Mutual Funds, I would like to advertise for free. Would they allow them to advertise for free?
No.
They absolutely would not. So how do they make the money to pay for those advertising? There is no true no load mutual fund. There's always a fee in there somewhere, right? But as long as the fees weren't totally ridiculous and you felt good about our personal consultation, we set up the program together, asset allocation, would you have a problem paying a small fee?
I guess.
It's kind of like this. You ever go to a restaurant?
Yes.
You tip them?
Yep.
How much you normally tip them? 15, 20%?
20.
15, 20%? Isn't it funny that we'll tip someone 15% to deliver us food, but we wouldn't pay 5% to get professional money manager? Right. That's good. Okay.
Dave, I've already got a planner. They take care of all of that stuff for me.
That's fantastic. How long have you been using them?
About 5 years.
About 5 years. And are you totally satisfied with what they've done for you?
Well, they've done pretty good. They never called me back. But they
Now, let me just ask you, are they just doing your investments or are they helping you get out of debt? They're helping you get the right insurances, all the different things we do, or they're just helping you with your investments, aren't they?
Yeah, just the investments.
See, that's the problem. Most financial planners, all they do is deal with investments, which is a critical, important piece. But if they don't teach you how to become debt free, if they don't teach you how to get the right insurance, could you see how they're limiting you and your family's financial growth?
Yeah.
So let's just run the numbers. If we can put together a better program that's better for you, you'll be the sole judge of that. Would you have any problem moving with us?
Well, if it's a better program.
If it's better for you. And if it's not, we won't even ask you to do it.
Okay.
Okay. So same thing. If they have a financial planner, great. We got to get together. That's not a reason not to get together. That's a reason to get together.
Hey, that 12% sounds great, but I got to tell you, I'm just really scared with what the market's been doing. I just don't know.
Yes.
Like the insecurity.
It has been incredible the last 3 years. It's just, have you had any money in the market in the last 3 years?
We have.
You have?
Amount.
How much did you lose?
Lost. So
I mean, $5,000 or $10,000 or, I mean, it's considerable, right? So I can understand your fear. But let me just ask you this. If we really educated you and showed you how, if you would have just kept that money in there, you know what the market's at now, right? It grew back, didn't it? So that $10,000 that you lost, had you had someone to call and someone to coach you through it and walk you through it, where you would have just hung in there, couldn't you see how you'd have all your money back and you'd actually be ahead? That's the true value of having a personal financial analyst at your side so that when the market drops and you're afraid and you're not feeling good about things, call me. Let's talk you through it. I'll explain the market. We have a portfolio manager hotline that you can call at any time and they explain. Those guys are smart. they'll explain it to you. So you feel a little bit better about that?
Yep.
But again, the fear part, you ought to give them the securities presentation and go through that. That eliminates a lot of the fear. Okay.
Dave, we don't have a whole lot of money right now. Can I start out? What's the minimum I can start out with maybe investing?
Well, most of my clients completely fill their Roth IRAs with the $250. There are some people who are limited to only $200. What would you feel more comfortable with?
I can't handle the 200.
$200? How much too much do you feel that is?
Probably about 100.
About $100. So you could probably do $100 a month
Yeah.
to grow for you and your families. And you know what's interesting? $100 a month, let me just show you, goes to $100,000 in 20 years. Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
So it'd be worth putting that $100 a month away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, let's start with something.
So never tell them the minimum's 25. You can give $25. Right? That ain't getting them financially free, is it? So start out. Most of my clients, just how I did.
Dave, we already have some retirement for our insurance program.
Really? Well, that's great. Why don't you grab your policies? I'll show you something interesting. So then just get their policies and all those different things. So,
Dave, this sounds like a great plan, but I just want to think it over with my wife and pray about it.
yeah, that's fine. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't take the time thinking it over unless you were seriously interested, would you?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you're serious about it, right?
right.
And since you're that interested, can I assume you'll give it very careful consideration?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do tonight.
Okay. And just to clarify my thinking, what is it that you need to think about? Is it the credibility of our company?
No.
Is it my personal credibility?
No, they've been great.
No. Is it the fact that you would see we gave you $200,000 more insurance for half the cost? Is that something did you not quite understand, or you weren't feeling comfortable with something there?
No, that was good.
Really, please just level with me, Jake. Could it be the money?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So how much too much do you feel that $100 commitment is?
Well, I think we can do it. We need to work out some areas and we need to talk about what we can cut out.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? We'll just draft up our feelings on the paperwork, get the ball rolling, get everything going. You guys can talk it over tonight. If we need to make any modifications after you talk about it tonight, tomorrow, then no problem. I can just adjust the paperwork. But you have a driver's license on you?
I already met with someone from Primerica, Dave.
Really? So you're already involved with the company then?
Nah, we didn't do anything.
Really? Do you mind if I ask why not?
I just didn't have a real comfortable feeling with them.
Well, I am very sorry to hear that the person who represented the company. Tell me, Kim, if you were the president of our company and found out that a representative maybe didn't explain things properly, people just weren't feeling comfortable about the guy, what would you do?
I guess I'd want to know about it and correct it.
Yeah, and you'd probably maybe even get rid of the guy, right? That's probably what we did. And our company has changed in so many ways. And I'd sure like the opportunity to show you the value of our services and some of the new and exciting things that we could do for you. Okay? So would Monday or Tuesday be better?
I guess.
So you bump into that a lot. I have someone with Primerica. That's not the time to fold and wimp out. That's saying, great, then you're already involved in the company then? I would say, great, you're already involved in the company then? I just assume they are. And then they say, well, no, I didn't know. Really? Oh my gosh, why not? Right? I treat it that way, not, oh man, they already heard of us. If they ain't clients, if they're not part of our business opportunity, they didn't get it explained as good. Right? You're asking, well, who did you get it? Who was it? You know what they say? I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, they really made an impression on here then. Right? I don't say all that. I'm just telling you. Let's say, you ought to say, hey, you didn't see it with me. We got to get together. You free on Monday or Tuesday would be better. This thing's working for me and my clients. We got to get together. You free Tuesday or Thursday? Right? So don't assume that they're not interested.
I don't want to share any of my financial stuff with my friends. I'd like to keep that private.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. That seems kind of weird. Would you rather have a complete stranger that cares nothing about you to handle your finances, or would you rather have someone who's known you for 10 years?
Well, I guess somebody who's known me for 10 years.
Okay, great. Well, let me just show you what we can do. If we can help, great. If we can't, great. So that's more of the thing once you're licensed, once you're getting started. But in the early stages, the true uniqueness of our business is the field training process. Because my friends, your friends aren't going to take financial advice from you because you're a plumber. I was a mechanic. You're computer person, whatever. Not that that's a bad career. You just don't have any financial credibility. But what our field training process is I went over there. We could use Amy as an example. Her friends gave us everything, stacks of stuff. I don't think they would have gave you that stuff, but they'll give me the stuff because I was there. So during field training, if they ever ask, I always bring it up. I just say, hey, if any of this information you don't want Amy to know, I've already instructed her. She's going to go in the other room and not hear any of this. Is that a problem? And then most of the time, oh no, that's no big deal. I don't care. So we got to get in the door with your field trainer. Don't come across like a financial expert when you're brand new. You shoot yourself and them in the head. You're not a financial expert. Why come across like one? Get your field trainer out on the appointment, and then they will listen to your field trainer more so than you. So the bottom line, though, if they don't want to share their financial information, it is a trust issue. It is a like issue. There's something more going on than them not wanting to become debt free. It's not like they're saying, oh, I don't want to get debt free in 10 years. There's a trust issue. And I think how Jonathan handled that was absolutely professional, is just pause and just say, maybe we should just stop right now. There's something I've done to elicit some lack of trust or lack of belief in me. And why don't we just pack things up here? Certainly appreciate your time. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, they'll stop you. They'll pull you back. Say, oh, no, I want your help. Okay, well, tell me how you're feeling. What's going on? And I would encourage you to do that too. Anytime during your presentation, if you feel that it's not going well, they're not talking back, something's wrong, just stop right then and there. Just say, hey, you know what? Gosh, are you sure you want me here? I'd rather stop and say, man, are you always this quiet, or is it just because I'm here? I'd rather stop and let's talk about it. And then if they don't absolutely want me there, I'll leave. Rather than stay there and then, I don't want to be there either if they don't want me there. So great. I'm so excited about you having this tape or this CD in your possession, but everything is going to be determined on you taking this seriously, getting this information down, practice, drilling, rehearsing, going it over and over and over so that you can just sound natural too. So that if someone has an objection, you just answer it and smile and be friendly. So just in closing, don't get frustrated. Don't get mad. Keep your emotions intact and understand that even if you do everything correctly, sometimes it don't work. So I just want to encourage you to go see someone else. If they give you an objection, you should just say, thank goodness. Okay, all right, now I just got to practice that one, and next time they give it, man, I'm going to be ready. Right? That's what I got excited about, is I just practiced one, and all of a sudden I'd get, all right, got that one down. Let me learn another one. All right, got that one down. Let me learn another one. Let me learn another one. And now you have a tool in your possession. So if you go on an appointment, instead of beating yourself up and say, oh, man, or you make a phone call and you say, oh, man, I didn't cover that right. Now you can go back to your CD, go back to your tape and say, okay, this objection, next time someone gets that, I'm going to have it down. And just keep getting better and keep getting better and keep getting better. And you're going to have a wonderful future. In 5 to 10 years at the outside, be totally financially independent. And you'll say, I'm so thankful that I took the time, I made the effort to get this stuff down. Appreciate you listening.